Yo, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? If you can tell me, I had to like resituate the sound and stuff for the music. So if it's feeling like the music is too loud, just tell me. I'll turn it down for y'all. But yeah, sorry that I wasn't able to get two streams in. And hi, Pumpkin Pie. Hi, Peter. Nice to see y'all. Um, it was a busy week for me. I think that I'm gonna figure out like a schedule. I think I'm gonna do one of the weekend days and a Monday. I know that's pretty close together, but Mondays are typically a little less hectic for me in the morning, so I'll be able to kind of do those together. Today will be a shorter stream. I have a lot of stuff I have to do at home, but we'll get some gesture drawing in with reference for today. And I think, yeah, I know, fuck it, I saw. I appreciate you waiting. Um, but yeah, I'm hoping. I think tomorrow I'm gonna start another character design. I'm pretty much done with my illustration. I might finish the illustration from the last one today, actually. Um, but yeah, without further ado, let's get started. I think this will be about a half hour, 45-minute stream. Let me see something really fast. I think I'll add a row. Sorry, I just want to make sure that I do something that's like worth everybody's time, including mine. We'll do a break, 1 minute break. All right, so about 40 minutes today. We'll do 15 gestures from reference, and we'll move from there. Let's get the cube brush out. I like drawing with this. All right, and let's get started. I hope that everybody's doing well. All right, so I'm going to do this one. It'll be good for me to do some gesture from reference. I haven't done that many gestures this week. So it's been a little while since I've done it. It's probably since the last stream since I've done gesture drawing. And as always, if y'all have any questions, concerns, anything of that nature, please ask them. I also forgot to introduce myself. For those of you who have not been here, I'm Mike. I am an aspiring professional artist. In particular, I would like to do comic art, or actually, sorry, I do want to do comic art, but I also am working towards being a concept creator, like a concept artist. Sorry, my brain is not functioning right now for some reason. This leg is not like this. It's this way. And then like this. This is what happens when you don't do gestures for a few days. So the stuff that I'll be saying are things from my own experience, and things that are not coming from a professional artist. So you want to take it with a grain of salt. Though I will say for that's gonna be mostly I would say for the yeah, I missed y'all too. It's gonna be mostly for um the character design aspects that y'all will see. I'm learning, and I think that I'm getting a decent grasp on like what to do. Um, but I'm not a professional yet, so those things are not going to be like I would again take it with a grain of salt and maybe learn from the mistakes that I'm making too, because I'll be making mistakes on stream. how has everybody's week been? Hopefully it's been going well. The one thing that I've never gotten in this drawing is this back leg. Like, I don't really understand what this back leg is doing. It's too short. I mean, it should probably be something like this, maybe. I don't know, because it's there's no way it can be foreshortened to the point that it's foreshortened. Um, I don't think. I might get rid of this one. I don't think it's a very good technical drawing, and that, like, I just don't think that the back leg just makes zero sense because it's straight, like, and it's not like it's not like an elbow. I think that it would have to be, oops, it would have to be like, I've been doing well. I might post for the art challenge tomorrow. That sounds good. Boring week. Sorry to hear that. We had an earthquake where I live this week. So that was crazy. Yeah, I don't really know what this back leg is doing. Like, maybe I can just do this with it, though. Like, maybe have it come towards us and then back. But yeah, that back leg, I need to get rid of this, and that back leg doesn't make sense. Alright, so this one kind of gets me sometimes because there's clothing, but you see the back of her body. This is going to be here, then here, then here, and now I can get the legs in. Used to summer, not anymore. Huh. I actually didn't know that. Is there a reason why you stopped doing vids, Peter? Erase away some of this in here. Alright. I can also do this. And now I have this arm. I think that the elbow would actually be here and then here for that hand. And then you can see a little hint of her back foot right in there. Alright. I made a cringy Minecraft videos on a computer that can run. Okay. That's interesting though. Oops, I definitely a little too far. So need to definitely change that up just slightly here. Okay, feels a bit better. So sometimes it's good to add your contour lines onto your figure drawings or gesture drawings, just because um, it's a little difficult at times to read with these more complex ones. Um, the form, right? And I'm noticing again, like this leg is a little, needs to be foreshortened even more, because the hand on this pose actually goes way past, so this isn't quite right, but that's all right. But it's good to do those form lines just because it gives a little bit more of a volumetric um, understanding of what you're doing here. All right. I'm cool with that. Right. So I was just trying to check the screen and make sure you could see what I was drawing, since it has like my head and the reference image up there. Oh, and I'm also, I don't know if y'all noticed, but I am also doing more dynamic gestures today. I just kind of felt like doing it just because it had been a while and I kind of missed doing them. I won't always do these. You should do gestures, camera's all crooked. You should do gestures that are going to be in line with whatever you are going to be making. And for me, that's going to actually be mostly like standing poses. But there are things that you can learn by doing, like going outside of that comfort zone a little bit, just branching out, but also like you want to enjoy your art, right? So if it's starting to feel a little bit redundant, challenge yourself a little bit with something, then you go back to what you were doing before. This head's a bit big. Scale that down a little. There we go. Maybe not quite that much. There it goes. And we can all right, I'm cool with that as well. Sips tea. All right, little break. Um, so we'll do 2 more rounds of that, and then we'll wrap up for today. This has been nice to do. Always feels grounding to go back to gesture drawing. This is one of the things that I have, gained confidence in my art, which is hard to find sometimes. It's hard to find where you're confident at. Sometimes in art and other things. But it's very important. Ooh, this is a nice one. I like this gesture a lot. So, and I'll show you why in just a second. Oh, I didn't even think about this. I don't know if I'm supposed to be showing showing these. uh, all right. Well, if this one gets shot down, I won't do it again. This one could, I guess, get copyright claimed. Um, but that is okay. All of these have been found on Pinterest. These are not my drawings. Just to be clear. But hopefully, I don't get a copyright claim because this is supposed to be educational. But I can explain why I really enjoy this gesture in just a bit. This is a little too long. It's gonna be a real secret. Appreciate that. I can't really tell what the back arm is doing, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna have it like maybe go something like this. It might be going up though, so I guess I can. So I'm gonna pause just for a second because I do think that this is a good opportunity for me to explain what makes a dynamic gesture. Uh, all right, so when you're doing a gesture, or you're trying to do something from imagination, and you're worried about whether or not it's going to be dynamic, the first thing that you should really look at after you've like, sorry, I don't always say this, but I should say it more frequently. When you're initially trying to draw something, you should attempt it from imagination at first. And the reason why I say that, unless you're practicing or doing studies like I am right now, the reason why I say that is because like building up your imagination and your ability to draw from imagination is a skill in and of itself, right? And then you go back through and you get references. One thing I keep noticing this, I need to fix this in my art. My heads are always not quite where they need to be. Needs to be there. Um, so what makes a good gesture or a good imaginative piece of work? Uh, the first thing that you want to look at for your dynamism is like where are the three major portions of the body facing and how are they tilted? So the reason why I like this drawing so much is because you get the head is tilted this way, the chest is tilted this way, and then you get the hips are tilted this way, right? And you get this beautiful flow that goes, I'm gonna go to maybe a red. Get this beautiful flow that goes like this. And that's not something that you see in all these other drawings, right? So this one has a slight, but not as much, right? This one is like this. This one, this one's pretty dynamic because it's gonna come like that. So that one maybe not so much. This one, everything is kind of facing the same direction, and the same here. You just get that. So if you take and just like look at the lines here for all of these, you can see that this one over here has the most movement in the line of action. And a lot of people like to look at different things for the line of action. I just look at where's the center line for the main three body parts. You can look at the spine, that's another one. You can even look at like the uppermost section. So like you can look for this one, it's still the head, all the way to the lowermost section. So for instance, another line of action for this, I mean, granted, it's going to follow basically what I had, but another one is going to be something like this, right? That follows the all the way down to the leg. That's a perfectly fine line of action, right? I like to look, like I said, I like to look at these three major sections and see like, okay, where are things tilted? And what you're gonna see and notice is that when you're creating something from imagination, if you like, for instance, it's gonna look stiffer if things are just kind of all facing like the same direction, right? So we got that, and that. So the hips are always going to face slightly down if it's an image where like the horizon line is like hitting like around the thigh board. Um, but like let's look at this same thing. What if I did something like this, and then I did kept the rib cage going the same direction, but then maybe did the hips like something like this, right? So now we have like this flow here. I mean, this might be a little bit too much, but it's the same general pose for the most part, but now your flow is different, right? And you want to also do that with like, so let me go to number two. So like where it's facing is number one. Number two is going to be what's like this line, like the horizontal line that each one has. So here you can see the head's horizontal line is this way, shoulders are this way, and then the hips are this way too. Um, and really the shoulders are even more so than the hips. What I would recommend is like, I wonder if this would even look good. Let's see. Probably not because of it would mess up the flow, but let's just try this. Actually kind of like that, right? I could take it and tilt this way just a bit, just to make it a little bit less like crazy looking. But if you see, now I've created, so all the things are facing opposite directions, but I've also created this like, what's it called, contrapposto, where all of these things are on different planes, right? They're like there's landmarks. Sorry, I'm like stumbling around here. The landmarks of the like upper body are gonna be here, like where the clavicles. Yeah, I mean, and again, this isn't going to be, it's not like a hard rule that it's always got to be like this, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the more you do these kinds of things, the more dynamic. So like, for instance, what I had before in the image that you're seeing in the upper right hand corner, that's a very dynamic and very well drawn image that has a lot of great flow to it. I just switched the hips just to look to see if it would add anything, and it kind of does, right? So now you get this, and you kind of get this like multiple S curve going. So you get one here, and then you get one here. But yeah, like the more stuff you have alternate, typically the better it's going to look as far as dynamism is concerned. But landmarks that you want to look for, sorry, second here, first here, and then the landmarks you want to look for are going to be, there's this, I'll get the male character out for this one. I always show the female character. So your landmarks, hopefully you can see this, okay? Your landmarks are going to be like right here where the clavicle ends, and it kind of meets on this section right here with your scapula, like right about there. That's a landmark. Another landmark is going to be right here where the, I know this is probably hard to see. I might need to like do a wash of this of some sort, but right here, it's where like your sternum ends. There's this like little pointy bone here. The bottom of like the rib cage, and then the hips. There's these two bones of your hips that are like here-ish and here-ish. Hey, we got a sub. Thank you for subbing. And those are some of the landmarks you want to think about. And those are the landmarks that I'm kind of going over in this second step that they alternate. And when they alternate, they look pretty good. You have like a nice flow. The reason why this one works even though the hips aren't turned, for instance, is because you actually get, here, let me back it up a little bit so I can just have the pose as it was. If I were to draw the hips and the upper body as boxes, the hips would be probably something like this, and then so that you can kind of see like, yeah, this is facing downwards. Sorry, this is bothering me. Facing downwards, but also this part is coming towards us in like this direction, right? Whereas the upper box would look something like this. So we get, it might be even more than that actually. I think it's probably even more intense. It's probably something like this actually. So you get like this really like, it's very foreshortened, and the shoulders, if I were to keep drawing this box out, the shoulder back here is, I mean, you can kind of see it, which I don't know if that's completely accurate. You can move your shoulder forward, but like the pose that she's at, like she would have to be, well, I guess she probably is because I think her hand's up here, so that makes sense. But like if her arm and shoulder were just to stay where they were, the shoulders would be like this, right? And this is all to say that the flow of this is, it's the tilt part is going to be here and here actually. So it's hard to explain, but they still end up kind of running into each other in some capacity. These, I got two of these. I got a female version and a male version. You can get them on Amazon, and I found that the anatomy isn't perfect, but it's pretty good. You'll definitely learn from it, and it's really cool because, here, I'll pull this back up. The female one, the stand falls off the feet, but it's split in half, so you get one half where you see like what the muscles look like poking through the skin, and the other half is like the actual musculature, so you get to see like where stuff begins and ends and things like that, which is super helpful. I like to bring this out when I'm getting confused on my anatomy. Is this somewhat to avoid too much symmetry? Yes. When, like, for instance, the examples that I gave over here, like, for instance, I could even go further with this one, because there's a lot of symmetry in, like, this is here, and this is here. So if I did something like this, here. And here maybe. Then I'm getting even more, I think the hips need to be pulled back a bit, but then I get even more flow, right? Because now I have, this is facing up but that way, and this is facing down like this. So yeah, you get even more dynamism. This looks a bit confusing. Which part? I can try to explain a little better. But this, and again, this is just like when you're doing imaginative work, this is what you want to think about. Because what our brains tend to do is when we're trying to make sense of things, I guess I could just back this all up. When we're trying to make sense of things, what we typically do is we simplify them in our brains, and we keep simplifying and simplifying and simplifying, and then you end up with a stiff drawing because our brains are trying to make sense of what we're looking at. But hopefully this was helpful for people. But that's why I like this pose so much, is because of everything I just said. It is a very good pose. I think that the hips, yeah. Hips are actually on this one going to be facing a bit closer to this. Now, and then the other thing is like I said earlier, do what you can from imagination, and then you find references. And your references probably aren't going to be the exact thing that you're looking for, which is, fine. But what you can start to do then is you can start to thread together different references that are close to what you are looking for, and then blend them together. So like you're gonna get, a pose that has the upper body that you want, and then or close to it, and then a pose that might have the lower body, and then you put those two together, and maybe you can't find a good pose for either one, or for your arms, for instance, because your arms are different than the poses that you found for the upper and lower body. So you find a pose for your arms and stuff like that. Again, the head. This head is actually closer to here. Arm. But, yep. Poses are, they're like difficult, but once you kind of figure out the formula, they don't become too bad. One thing I need to do is study hips. I say that like I feel like at this point like once a year, um, or multiple times a year. But I always feel like my hips are not quite right. Oops. Oh, y'all probably can't really see that, can you? Oh yeah, you can. Okay. When I have like multiple on my sheet like this, I just typically pick one uh, on there. I like all of these poses to some extent. Um, I think the most usable for me is probably the one that's in the upper like left. So that's the one I'm drawing. Accurate. Yeah, pretty happy with that one. And once you start to notice some of those like smaller things, like I was just mentioning, you start to see it in a lot of the references that you'll use. Like, all right, where are things facing? How does that impact the dynamism? So I would say that the dynamism in this pose isn't due to the tilt of the head, shoulders, and hips, because they're pretty much all in the same plane. Where this one's dynamism comes in, because I would still say it's dynamic, is the fact that the legs in particular are in a perspective, right? And how they're planted on the ground. Um, so like things like that, because I would not call that a stiff pose, even though the different elements that we were talking about earlier are pretty stiff. It's a very simple pose, but a very good one. And I'm fine with it like that. I know I have a whole minute left, but that's okay. Oh, y'all can't see the timer. So that there is a timer in the upper right hand corner of that reference like section you have. Oh, pull this over so you can see the other pose. But yeah, there's a little timer, so I have about 40 seconds left on this one. Actually, I could probably just skip it, and we'll go into break. So we got 5 more to go through, and then we are going to be done for today. Hopefully these are semi-helpful for you, like these videos. They're good practice for me. And also, Sappy, I don't know if you're still on here, but welcome. I don't think I've seen your name pop up. I appreciate you joining. Appreciate all of y'all. Ooh, this is a difficult pose. A lot of foreshortening in this pose. And also my microphone's kind of in the way. Your streams are great reminders for me to do gestures. Oh, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with lurking. Like I said, I just appreciate y'all being on it all. Yeah, gestures are vital if you want to become a character artist of any kind, or do illustrations or anything. Like, there's such an important skill to have. My problem is that I do gestures, but that are decent. Like, I would say my gestures are pretty good, but I end up second guessing myself when I do my actual like pieces, and then I overwork them and they become stiff, even though I have pretty fluid gestures. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Sometimes you gotta take a break from art, so I wish you luck in getting back into it. Yeah, this is a very difficult pose to pull off, I think, in a 2-minute gesture. But that is okay. There's a ridge here. Here's here. Yeah. All right. Some of these poses I probably should get rid of. Like, I don't need to be doing this much foreshortening in a gesture drawing session. This artist, Boichi, is one of my favorites. I love his art. I think it's so beautiful. Um, Arm is a little long. You're probably right. I think it is. I could probably the both the upper and lower sections of the arm are probably a bit too long. Probably needs to have been. Oops. Probably needs to have been something like. Oops. This, I think even this one. I think this even is probably a bit long. Probably needs to be something like that. What I'll do is before the end of the stream, I'll pull that reference up and we can do a little bit of a deeper dive. That's why I was saying like that form of foreshortening is probably a bit too much for a 2-minute gesture. That's more of like I'm gonna do a study, at least for my level. Like I'm gonna do a study of this kind of foreshortening for 5-10 minutes. Uh, I don't find it easy. Still now, I find that I am more comfortable. I know that that might sound like a bit of a bad answer, but it is true. I don't think that any of these poses are particularly easy. I need to get rid of this one too. This isn't really that great of a pose. But I don't know how many gestures I've done. At this point, probably a few thousand. So like, and specifically a few thousand of the ones that you're seeing me draw. Like, I collect the poses and then I uh, draw them as frequently as I can. So I guess the answer to that question is draw a ton of poses, and they start to become a little bit easier as you go. And other things too, like studying anatomy will help because you have a better understanding of what you're looking at. I need to go back through and like re-study anatomy. I used to remember like almost every muscle. Um, but and like where they attach and things like that, and that was making my I don't have that book, no. I don't really recommend those kinds of books. Like I would highly recommend you do if you're gonna buy a book, I'd recommend you get books that are more about like the fundamentals of like specific things because those kinds of books of like how to draw manga and stuff like that, unless it's teaching you paneling, it's just teaching you a stylized approach to drawing real life, and um, that'll come as you learn how to draw. Um, you'll find your own style as you learn to draw and as you look at other people's styles and things of that nature. I've always found this pose to be hard to get right as well. And I can show you the reason for that in a bit as well. I'm gonna have to do a lot of editing here in a second. All right. First things first, upper body is way too big. We'll scooch that down quite a bit. Her legs are, I mean, just her upper leg is the size of, yeah, this needs to be shrunk down even more. Maybe not. Maybe I'm tripping a little bit. Yeah, I think just a little bit more. Um, all right. Squeak these arms in really fast. So the reason why I find this pose to be super difficult to get consistently, like I've had runs at this pose that were pretty decent. Um, do you use one of those like shortcut consoles like Torvox? I don't even know what that is. To be honest with you, I don't even know what a shortcut console is. Are you saying best look in YouTube or Pinterest? No, like here, give me 1 second. I'll show you a book that I would highly recommend. Sorry, before I do that though, let me try to fix this. This pose is very difficult for me to get right. Um, and the reason for that is because it's not just foreshortening, but it's got a lot of play in the perspective. So the perspective of this is like this. So, like, actually, it's probably closer. The horizon line is probably closer to here. So this knee drops below. This knee is still kind of higher, but it immediately shifts, and you can see it in the feet to here. So the focal length is like really wild on this one. So you get this like warping effect, because it's 4 point perspective and not just 3 point perspective. So it's hard for me to get that pose in. Another pose I probably don't necessarily need in my list, um, just because it's something that needs to be more of like a 5-10 minute study instead of like me just doing it for 2 minutes and being like, oh, okay, well, I got confused on this one again. Need to work on it more. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'll show you a book that I would recommend for if you want to improve on your art. 1 second. All right. So this book's incredible. Um, Michael Hampton does a really good job of breaking down a lot of stuff. Um, but let me just give you an example. So stuff like this, it's good because it's breaking down actual human proportions. And once you get, let me find like a good, really good page. Once you get this stuff down and understand proportions and different forms and musculature, um, you can take that and adopt any style that you want, right? So, sorry, I'm just looking for like a really good. I mean, all of these are really good. I don't know what I'm like, what in my brain I'm like looking for here. This is a good example. So, on these 2 pages, he's like really breaking down the upper and lower arm into simple blocks and shapes, right? Um, and when you are doing that, it allows you to now take those simple blocks and shapes, twist them in different perspectives, and draw it in a more accurate way. So if you learn how to do that with the real body, stuff like, for instance, how can you draw like Bakugo from My Hero Academia? Or how do you draw like, a style like Boichi or a style like Akira Toriyama, right? what they did was they simplified real life. So when people get caught up, and I still do this, right? Sometimes I get caught up, oh, I wish I had a nice looking style. And my style isn't great, or it doesn't have that look yet because I need to study from life more. And when I fail to do that and I fail to put regular practice into studying from life, then my other stuff starts to suffer a bit because you're learning from people's bad mistakes, right? Or you're learning a stylized version of doing things without understanding what they did to stylize it. So that's what I would recommend you do. And like I said, I wanted to bring back this one. Oops, this pose here. So let's import it. Gesture poses for short end. Where are you? Give me 1 second. I will find it. All right. So how do we check? Well, this is the beauty of digital art. We're going to take, oops. 1 second. We're going to take that, put it down below. And I will probably actually take it and move it down here. Okay. Then we're going to take this and, oops. I'm going to move it. Place it right on top. I'm going to take this, pull the opacity down quite a bit. It's crazy. So, really, what was happening here, let me pull it down until the bodies line up, basically. Jeez. So, in actuality, the pose is fine. Like, I think I did a decent job, considering how difficult it is. Like, key dial or a small keyboard. Oh, yeah. Yes, I do. I have this. Huion has their own. I just use this one. I just have some buttons on here, like just for undo and lasso tool and moving things and stuff like that. Merging layers. But yeah, I find them helpful, but I will say, like, you can, if you just get a smaller keyboard, it's probably just as good, if not better, because then you don't have to worry about reprogramming if you have to get a new computer or if you're being mobile. But anyways, so the thing with this one actually was that the arm wasn't big enough. So the arm, let's see if we can fix it. The arm needed to have been like this big. Oops. And just tilt it this way a bit more, which is fine. But you were right, the arm itself was too long, and the hand actually needed to be much bigger, which is something that when you said it, I kind of identified it as well. But it needed to be like that. So let's pull this around. I'm fine with the body. Like, the body down below, you know, it works. Like, that's all that really matters. But look at that. Isn't that crazy? It's crazy how much longer. The arm is probably double the size of the body. Triple. Yeah, almost triple the size of the body. It's crazy. It's how foreshortened it is. But anyways, I'm going to wrap up there, everybody. It was great. How was the music today? Was it at the right volume? I'm assuming so, because you nobody complained, so I'm assuming it was fine. But Um, for all the Yeah, so this is trace, but I would say this is good to do. You do, like, if you have a reference and you're trying to check yourself, you draw without tracing. And if you want to compare the two and see what you're getting wrong, you then take it and put it over top of what you had before and you fix it. Okay. Um, you What you don't want to do though is I'm not going to now take this pose and put it online and say that, oh, I created this myself. That's not right. um the That's not what you want to do. Tracing is a learning tool. It is not a art tool. Like, it's not a tool to create your art. It's a tool to help you learn. I don't even know what manga this is from, but this person created this and it's very well done and it looks phenomenal. I did not create this pose, right? Like, this is not a pose of my creation, but thank you. I appreciate that you liked the music. I was just making sure the music wasn't too loud. Um, but yeah, all right. I'm gonna wrap up here. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I'll probably not probably. I'm going to stream tomorrow, probably around like 11 or 12 Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, I'll catch you tomorrow if you want to join. If not, I'll see you in the next stream. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday, and I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one.